The Surefire XC-1 is an aluminum-bodied LED 200 lumen weapon light. It is extremely compact, probably one of the smallest lights on the market, and until the apl-c came out, there was simply no other competition for it. It is 2.375 inches in length. The bezel is an astonishingly small 0.375 inches, and it weighs a phenomenal 1.6 ounces. That is incredibly light for a weapon light. Really, really cool to see Surefire putting that out. One of my favorite things about the Surefire XC-1, besides its size and weight, is the fact that it runs on a AAA battery. There are so many lights out there that run on CR123s, maybe even like some weird watch batteries, things that are kind of obscure to get a hold of, especially in a, let's say it's a zombie apocalypse and it's kind of hard to get batteries. AAAs will always readily be available, so kudos to them for coming up with a 200 lumen weapon light that uses a AAA battery, a very common battery for most of us to have around the house. Now that being said, I want to get into my one and only complaint about this light. I have found that I need to use lithium AAA batteries to get the performance out of the light that I want. If you use a lithium AAA, you're going to get an hour and a half runtime versus an hour runtime. Now that's not really what bothered me. What did bother me was I was noticing that the light would start to fail performing to a standard that I would feel comfortable carrying if I was using alkaline batteries. I would go to throw the switch on the light and it wouldn't turn on. I'd kind of wiggle the switch a little bit and all of a sudden it would come on. So, there was intermittent performance on alkaline batteries. I was really disappointed in that. Now, I didn't experience those performance failures until about a half hour of runtime into the light. So again, I think it was kind of the light's way of telling me that it needed the battery changed, but nonetheless, it was like, hey, I've still got a half hour of runtime left on these batteries, and for whatever reason, I'm experiencing just terrible performance. Since I started exclusively using lithium AAA batteries, I've had zero issues. I've not had any of those issues whatsoever. I'm running 3 of these lights on 3 different guns, and they're all running lithium batteries, and they're all performing flawlessly. Another quick thing to note, when I was using alkaline battery, again, really strange that the battery type would matter that much, but when I was using alkaline batteries, when I would fire the gun, when it would recoil, the light would flicker. Super weird, again, maybe just due to low battery, but I'd put a brand new alkaline AAA in, and I would still have the flicker when I would fire. So lithium, lithium, lithium. If you're gonna use a Surefire XC-1, please just spend a little bit extra money on the AAA batteries that are already super cheap. Just get the lithium ones. They'll perform way better for you. The light will be exactly what you want it to be. Let's talk about the size of this thing. Being only 2.375 inches in length, it sits flush on a Glock 19 and many compact handguns. I have this mounted to my CZ-P01, which is a compact handgun. I have it mounted to an HK VP9, which is debatably a compact handgun. And of course, a Glock 19, that's absolutely, in my opinion, what this light was designed around, designed to look great on, designed to sit flush on, and not take up any more real estate really in the holster department, and therefore in your pants, making it super comfortable to carry the gun with the light on it. Now, as many of my followers already know, I am a huge proponent of having a weapon light on any defensive firearm whatsoever, be it a handgun, shotgun, carbine, what have you. It needs to have a weapon light on it. I need to identify the threat I'm going to be shooting at. I'm a civilian. I don't work in wartime environments. I'm not shooting in the daytime. Statistically speaking, most of my engagements in all reality will happen in dark hours, in dark environments. Therefore, we must absolutely have white light on our defensive gun. As a CCW holder, I take it very seriously that every gun I carry has a light on it. The Surefire XC-1 makes it almost negligible that you even put a light on the gun. Now, a lot of people talk about comfort when they talk about adding a flashlight to the bottom of their handgun, and rightfully so. The Surefire X300 Ultra is a gigantic light, and if you put that on a Glock 19, it sticks out, it adds a lot more bulk to the gun, it adds length to the gun, and then it therefore adds even more bulk and length to your holster setup, so it's just that much more uncomfortable to be carrying the gun. It's almost like, why'd you buy a compact gun and put this gigantic light on it? You might as well be carrying a 17 or a 34, because it's just so huge. But with the Surefire XC-1, definitely accomplishes the CCW mindset, at least for me, that I need a light, and yet at the same time I want to be really comfortable. There is very little difference in holsters from an XC-1 to something that doesn't have an XC-1 on it. There is hardly any material added. This makes it incredibly comfortable and honestly, in my opinion, completely negligible. I don't see a disadvantage to carrying a gun with an XC-1 on it versus carrying a gun without an XC-1 on it. The momentary controls on the XC-1 are very intuitive. Now, I was a little skeptical being someone who came from the 300 series lights. Pushing forward for momentary was how I was so used to it. The XC-1, you push down. I actually really like this feature. It helps me mitigate a little bit more recoil because I'm applying downward pressure to my handgun. Actually gives me that little bit of a ledge to have downward pressure. And the gun's going to recoil up. So if you're pushing forward and the gun recoils up, your finger might slip off that button. But if you're pushing down and the gun recoils up, well, you're just fighting that and you're not going to slip off, or at least be less likely to slip off the control. They are ambidextrous, which is super helpful. Whether you're left-handed or right-handed, that paddle's on the same side. However, the paddle is not like the X300 in that it tips and it's all one piece. It's actually two independent paddles, so you can operate either one. No, you cannot push them up. You have to push them down every time, no matter which side you're pushing from. The constant on feature is a little bit peculiar, but it works really well. So the constant on is a push through button. So you push this button through the body of the light and it turns the light constant on. I like this feature. I'm not a big fan of having constant on so readily available to me on a handgun, unless I'm going to be shooting one-handed. If I'm shooting one-handed, things have gone really bad, but I can still actuate that. So I definitely dig that. I like that it's not on the main paddles, that it's a completely separate control. To me, that's absolutely perfect, and great placement, by the way, because it's definitely doable from either side. A little bit of a gripe I have with it is that I can't actuate constant on with one hand on the gun. If I'm using constant on, it's likely because I'm shooting one-handed, or maybe I need to actuate the light one-handed. There is no safe, fast way to deploy this gun with the light on with one hand. There's simply no way to do it. You have to take it out of the holster, put it between your legs, turn the button on, armpit technique, whatever you're gonna need to do to get that light on. You're gonna have to disengage your firing grip with your one hand and somehow manipulate it and then get it back out. I don't really like that. I wish it was a little more intuitive, or at least like if there was a button I could reach with my right middle finger or something, but it's really not that big of a deal. Again, the likelihood of us needing constant on our handgun light is gonna be incredibly rare. All right, the same stress I put to all lights out here, I'm gonna go ahead and start smashing the thing. I'm throwing it into the dirt here. I'm seeing if I can get it to fail. I want to see that this thing can handle really rugged abuse. So taking it off the gun and just throwing it seems to be the worst thing that could possibly happen to this tiny little light. It passed that with flying colors. Now let's see if it's submersible. We want to make sure that our gun might be getting wet. We might end up in a pool or a puddle or whatever. And we want to make sure that our light isn't going to be affected by those adverse conditions. It might be raining, whatever it is. We want to make sure that it can handle that abuse. So here we go. We're going to submerge this light for 30 minutes. And as you can see right here, still turns on, still good to go. Definitely thumbs up. Now the throw on this light is a little less than desirable. There is 200 lumens, but the beam is so widespread, there's no focus to it. It's so widespread, there's no hotspot, that the farther you get away, the less likely you're going to be able to identify a threat accurately and put shots on target. Now I can put shots on target with this light all the way out to 50 yards, which is as far as I took it, but could I have accurately identified that that person was a threat? Probably, if they were shooting or yelling or had a knife or something. But if they're just standing there like this, I can't really see what's in their hands. The light definitely dissipates really, really far. I wouldn't use this light out past 50 yards. That's definitely the limit I would put on it personally. Here you can see we're starting at a distance of 25 yards. And we're just walking slowly towards the target with the light on. So you can see how the closer we get to the target, the more brilliant and bright it's gonna get. And that's because that beam is getting closer and closer to the target. So again, that throw, less than desirable for outdoor conditions, but definitely CCW holders, most of us, what we're gonna engage if we're doing things in the dark is because we're indoors, because we're in a movie theater or a church or a school or wherever it is. It's dark in there, we need to deploy our light. And definitely in those distances, it's gonna be absolutely perfect. And I believe that's really what was at the core of why they designed the light that way, was because the beam is so wide and there's really no hotspot that I can actually cover zones more efficiently with the XC-1 than I can with any other of my weapon lights. For example, if I wanted to use the X300 Ultra, I would need to divide a room, let's say, into thirds, 1, 2, 3. So I would bring my gun out, momentary, 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 and I would be able to build this image, okay, that's what's in the room. Whereas the XC-1, the beam's so wide and there's no hotspot, I can actually just tag 1, 2, and I get a nice clear image of what the room looks like. So I do like the beam, and for indoor use, for CCW holders, I think it's gonna be a great, great beam to be using for self-defense. All in all, do I trust this weapon light to save my life and properly identify a threat before I engage? Absolutely. I have 3 of them. Again, as long as you use lithium batteries, you're gonna be just fine. It's gonna run absolutely great for you. You're gonna have 0 issues whatsoever. If you like this video, please click like down below and subscribe to the channel for more content and gun reviews. Also hit that bell icon, hit those notifications, make sure you get them. That way you guys are the first ones to see these gear reviews as they come out. Check us out on patreon.com at patreon.com/TactiCalifornia. Facebook at TactiCalifornia, and Instagram at TactiCalifornia_. If you like this light and want to save some money, head on over to opticsplanet.com and do just that. Use our discount code. Please use it. It's going to help you out. It's going to help us out. It's TCA5, and you're going to save 5% off your entire order. 5% off a light that retails at $279. That's going to save you a substantial amount of money, so definitely make sure you use that code. I'm Micah with TactiCalifornia. Thanks for watching.